All right, thank you. So today we'll be talking about building Bitcoin products for a global audience. I'm so sure these are content introduction, what global really means, user experience, and the likes. So I'm so sure we've had, like, you've seen thousands of ads, maybe on Twitter, maybe on Instagram, even on LinkedIn, where you see people talking about maybe a product or an application just telling you, oh, you can receive BTC, you can send BTC, you can buy, you can sell. Like, it's very rampant nowadays. For me, I think I see like at least maybe like five in a day. And believe me, the next day I'm seeing it. I'm not seeing those ones, I'm seeing another one. So the Bitcoin adoption it has been really good, especially in this part of the world, that's in Africa. You will see different products, you see different applications talking about buying, selling, receiving, sending Bitcoin. But in Africa, it is way more than just buying, selling, receiving. Sorry. It's way more than just buying, selling, receiving. It solves real life problems for us. We are able to send money. We are able to send money out. Cross-border payments in Africa is nothing to write them about. But with Bitcoin, we are able to send money. A mother is able to send money, or maybe a daughter is able to send money from Dubai to a mother in Nigeria or say Ghana without it taking days. Then after maybe Western Union or something, then the mother will have to go to bank. That stress is just something else. But with Bitcoin, people are able to send and receive money. Maybe they send it across the country or currency. Then with off-ramping and on-ramping, it just makes it easier. For people that don't even need, some people don't need Bitcoin. They just know that the only thing they know is, okay, you are telling me that there's an application or there's a product somewhere where you're going to send money, you're going to send money to it. I receive it in Bitcoin, right? But I'm able to convert that Bitcoin to my own local currency. Yeah, I'm fine with that. There's no problem. Or maybe I go to Kenya and then I have to buy something, and the vendor is telling me, oh, I accept Bitcoin. Thank God. That means, what if I don't have Kenya shillings? Good for me. At least I don't live in Kenya, which is nice. And then the restriction that is imposed, there are different laws when it comes to international currencies, especially in Nigeria, not to talk of other places. I'm not even talking about just Africa. This one is everywhere. So the excitement about Bitcoin development, about Bitcoin-based applications, sincerely is justified. When people talk about it and you see that excitement, you see them saying it's justified. It's okay, it's fine. Because it actually solves their problems. It helps to enable the decentralized alternative for remittance services and then access to global financial tools. We're able to pay for things outside our local currency. We're able to have access to other things outside. So we have different Bitcoin companies that's emerged. Some of them are for payment, some of them are for maybe merchant, some of them are for just gaming, depending on what you want, really. So what global really means. The problem is when we talk about global, most times we just think it's about maybe supporting various currencies. Most times when people say, this thing is global, so far it is in US or Europe, it's global. But really, it's not just about that. It's about your engineering diversity. It's about you thinking about not just the normal users or the normal people you see, the normal people you think you should use your product or should use a product. It's about supporting harsh realities. There are people in some part of the world where the network connectivity is bad. Even here, the network connectivity can be bad sometimes. There are people that use low-end devices, maybe cheap Android devices, where it doesn't support most things. And then you have to account for Bitcoin products, you have to account for the Bitcoin price volatility. Bitcoin price is something else. It fluctuates every time. So there's nothing like maybe for USD to Naira, at least you know that maybe for like 3 days it can be like maybe 1.6 to 1 USD, right? But for Bitcoin price, it's nothing like that. This minute it can be 1,000. In the next 2 minutes, it can be 1,005. Another minute can be 90. So, but now that is for someone that knows about it, that knows, okay, it does fluctuate. Or even some people that know it does fluctuate. Okay, I know it does fluctuate. But I'm a Nigerian. I'm a Kenyan. All my life, I've known about The currency I know about is my own Kenya shilling. It's my own naira. It's my own Ghana cedis. It's my own rands. And then you are telling me about Bitcoin. Okay, fine, fine. I'll use it. But how much is it in my currency? Let me know how rich I am. You know how we are humans. There's this funny way we think. It's not funny. I think it's normal though. And then you have to be able to support. That's when we are saying global. You building for a global audience. You have to be able to support fiat or ramp. That's, can I convert it to my currency? Can I convert it to this currency? Say I want to send money to somebody in South Africa. Can I convert to rands? I want to send money to someone in Britain. Can I convert to GBP? I know it's BTC, but this person has to receive GBP. Is it possible? Do you support it? Is there a way that it can be converted? Even if it is not on your own application, is there a way I can do it? When I go to Britain, is there a way I can actually spend without having to have cash? Or let's say I have a layover at let's say I'm traveling and then there's this layover at Ethiopia. I'm not supposed to go to Ethiopia, right? I'm going to say France. I'm just saying I don't know the routes. I'm going to France and then I stop at Ethiopia and then maybe the layover is for like 9 hours. I'm hungry. I need to buy something. I see a beautiful thing I want to buy. Obviously, I'm going to France, so I don't have Ethiopia currency. But now, with your products or your application, I can be able, since I have BTC, since I'm a user, I can be able to maybe buy something, maybe convert that BTC to their currency and then send it to the vendor. It solves my problem. Then are you able to prepare for Bitcoin protocol updates? Updates keeps coming. If you are following the Bitcoin trend, you see updates. They've gone from using legacy address to using SegWit to Taproot, the silent payment. There are different things. There's the layer 2 network, people talking about Lightning. Now they're talking about something else. It's just you are seeing different upgrade. They want to make it better. They are releasing different things, different BIPs. So is your application or is your product able to support that, which helps to ease your user's experience? Or does this solve their problem? So that's what global really means. It's not just about you supporting multiple currencies, basically, or maybe they can use my app in London. Does it solve everybody's problem? So it's really about that. So it's about being empathetic to the unique realities of your users. So the first thing is user experience, basically. If your user experience is trash, people will churn you, they will churn your products, regardless of the solution. So it has to be simple. You have to make the complex simple and not the simple complex. In traditional fintech apps, I'm so sure most of us are used to, if it is a bank app or mobile money, let me use bank app. You log into your mobile bank app. When you log in, you go to the section where you want to send money, you enter the amount, you enter the recipient's account number. If it's a bank, you enter the bank itself. And the next thing it does is it verifies it. So if I want to send money to a say Derek Sunday, just giving a name. I said that, okay, the name on this is Derek Sunday. I'm so sure that I saw that name, then I can enter my PIN and send. But with Bitcoin, it's tricky. I can't verify the address. I have to hope that I entered the right address. I have to hope that the user and the recipient gave me a correct address. And the funniest part is the address is not just 4 characters. It's not just 10 characters. It's not just a name that I can just enter and just check and say, okay, it's Munirat. It's like 25, depending on the type of address, it's like 25 to 62 characters. It's not just numbers. It's actually very long. And then you just missing one of it. The funds will get sent to someone else. And Bitcoin transactions are irreversible. So you have to think about that. You have to think about those users that will actually impute. They are not doing it intentionally, but it happens. They can make mistake. And then you have to think about fees. That's depending on your setup, depending on what or how you want your application to look like, and what you are trying to solve. It might not be a fintech app. It might just be something solving something. It might be a gaming app. It might be just maybe we are able to pay bills as in utility bills with your application or products. So you might want the fee to be something that the user will see a fixed network fee. They are saying, okay, Every time they want to send money, they're saying like 5,000 sats. It's fine. You might want to give them that control that, you know what, I don't want any issue. Just pick any fee you want because the fee is not cuckoo, it's not fixed. Or you might want it to be dynamic. Maybe you are telling them, or if it is low priority, it is this amount right now. If it is high priority, it is this amount right now. It depends on you basically. But you have to make the user experience smooth for users. So when you're thinking about that, when you're designing it, you have to know you are building for first-time Bitcoin users. For people that don't know anything about it, people with low financial literacy, someone that is just trying to send money to somebody, someone that is just trying to pay somebody's school fees, someone that is just trying to eat because they are hungry. And right now they don't have the currency of that country at hand, and they are really hungry. They need to eat. Someone that has a cheap Android phone with slow internet, and somebody is telling them about your application, somebody is telling them about your products. And people that all their lives they've only known about mobile bank apps. That's like the best thing they've ever, not like the best thing, but like maybe the most sophisticated application they've ever used, or M-Pesa. So yeah, at least they know that if I send the money, if I send 1,000, I have 2,000, I have 1,000 left. Or let's say the fee is like 2 naira. So I have like 988 naira left. They know that they can see it. And if push comes to shove, they know they can report to CBN or the central authority, or say last they go to the ATM and they go and withdraw their money. They know. But with your Bitcoin products, it doesn't work that way. So you are building for them and you have to have them in mind. You have to consider them. So these are some design considerations. You have to avoid, first thing is to avoid jargons. That's languages people don't really know. I want to send money, and then I enter the amount, say I enter the address, and then enter depending on how your product or application looks like, the flow of your transaction. And then I enter my PIN, and then I click on send. And then next thing I'm seeing is, oh, your Bitcoin transaction has now been added to the main pool. What is main pool? I don't know. Well, I know, but some people don't know. You know, but some people don't know. Some users don't know. Or they are saying, I want to send, I want to send 10,000 Kenya shillings to somebody. The person told me about your products that, oh, you know what, you can use so products. And then I sign up, I go through the onboarding flow. Maybe I transfer my own, maybe I transfer, somehow I shall have BTC under your application. And then I'm entering the amounts and I'm just seeing 15,000 sats. Okay, but is that 15,000 sats up to that 10,000 I'm trying to send? Make it make sense to me. Am I sure it is more than or it's less than? If it is less than, then I send it. I'm paying for fee, right? The stress, the fee, what happens? So we have to use languages that people already understand. Then education, educate them. Can be something as basic as when they are onboarding, maybe just 2 screens, just explaining how this works. You already know that Bitcoin is not something we've been using all our life. We didn't grow up knowing about Bitcoin. You knew about it. You are trying to solve our problems. We are users. We are trying to solve our problems. But we don't know about it. Somebody is just telling us, or we heard it somewhere that okay, you can use it to solve a problem you're having. So educate me, enlighten me. How should I use it? Then we have to show trust. For our normal fiat system, we already have this calculation in our head. I know I have 10,000. And somehow I feel like I can actually remember the last 3 transactions I did. That, okay, I sent 2,000 to this person. So somehow I already know my balance. But for BTC, it doesn't work that way. I know I can see that after the different transactions that took place, I can see that I have like 1 million sats. But maybe the USD or the fiat currency, the last time I checked it, it was showing me 2,500 USD. Please, why am I saying 2,200 USD? Why am I saying that? So you have to show me the trust. Let me be able to know, okay, this is why I'm saying it. oh, okay, this was the price as at when I sent the last one. This is the price now. Even if I don't trust you, I can calculate it now, and it makes sense to me. Then build clear mental models. Let it be clear. You are sending 10,000 naira worth of BTC. That way, the user knows what they are doing. And then ease their stress. When it comes to address imputing, you can ensure maybe you support QR codes. They're able to scan the address. You're able to scan the lightning invoice, the payment request. You can enable copy and paste buttons. They're able to copy it from anywhere they're copying it from and paste it. Confirmation. Imagine you entering, imputing an address. You input it, you go through. People think anything that has to do with sending money is stressful. You input it, you enter the amount, your PIN, and then you click on send, and it's telling you pending, right? And then in your mind, you just drop your phone and you say, okay, in the next 30 minutes, share bad as bad, this thing will be successful. Then you come back, it is failed. And the reason it is telling you is that you entered an invalid Bitcoin address. Oh, you'll be so livid because why didn't you tell me after I entered it? Why is it that I have to come back like 30 minutes or 1 hour later because I just dropped my phone and then I'm seeing that it failed because of that? So maybe after, not even maybe, after they input the address, let them know if it is invalid. They can check if they entered the wrong one. They can check or go back to the recipient to tell them, oh, you gave me an invalid address, and that solves their problem. That reduces the stress. And you can also support Lightning address. Lightning address is like a form of email address. Bitnob has it. So it can be something like munirat@bitnob.io. So that one is even clearer. You see it and okay, this is what you gave me. It is shorter, it is readable. You are able to enter it. So it just makes it better. Then fee and lay. When it comes to Bitcoin products, fees has to be discussed almost every time because it is tricky. It's not like the normal transaction fee that we know. If I want to send money from my money point, I already know that the transaction fee is 10 naira. I'm not stressing myself. I already know any amount I'm sending plus 10 naira is what is going out from my own balance. Well, with Bitcoin fee, it is really tricky because it's optional kind of, but it's essential. And it can be confusing to users. It can be frustrating because it's really different from traditional payment system. There's no central body. There's no body saying, okay, you know what, at least for the next 6 years or for the next 6 months, the fee will be this. And then after that, maybe we'll review it. Nobody's reviewing it. There's no fixed fee. So there's always a problem with what should the fee, that's depending on how your application works. What should the fee looks like? And even for you that is building it. But to understand Bitcoin transaction fee, you have to first understand how Bitcoin transactions are being created. Bitcoin transactions are constructed. Okay, let me give you an example of your physical purse or your physical wallet. Say you have I'm going to use Naira. Two 200 Naira notes. 200 Naira notes. That's 600, but that's two 200 Naira notes, 200 Naira notes. And then you want to buy or you want to give someone 350. You don't have 50 Naira. So you can either take two 200 Naira notes, which is 400, or you take one 200 Naira notes and 200 Naira notes, which you are taking it's still with you. That's your unspent transaction output. It is with you. That is your input. Now, when you are constructing, say, a Bitcoin transaction, that is like your input. And then your output for normal physical transaction, you already know that if I give this person 400 naira, regardless of the amount, you know you are collecting 15 naira. If they like, they can give you 220 naira note and 110 naira. They can give you 15, they are going to give you 15 naira. You already know. They know that they're giving you 15 naira. But with Bitcoin transaction, it doesn't work that way. You have to specify that, okay, I'm sending 350 to this address. Now, if you just specify you're sending 350 to that address, the remaining amount is your fee. But you know that you have to pay fee because that's an incentive to miners. So you say, okay, you know what, I'm going to just pay them like 2 naira. So I'm sending 350 to this person, then I should have 48 naira back. So your output will be, when you're constructing your output, it will be, you're constructing two outputs. That's to the address you're sending it to and back to yourself. And then the difference, so you're not specifying the fee. You are not, in your head, they are not saying, they're supposed to know that they will send 15 naira or 48 naira to me. No, they don't know. Nobody knows. So the difference between your total input and output is basically the fee. Your fee is just your input minus your output when it comes to Bitcoin transaction, when it is being created. So this chart just shows some things to know. Actually, Bitcoin transaction fees, for Bitcoin transaction fees, the size matters. That's your transaction size and not the amount. You might be sending 0.02 BTC and somebody is trying to send 10 BTC, and then you are even paying more than the person. It depends on your input and your output. So if you have, so like I said, let's say it is 1 200 200, that's three notes, right? That's like three inputs. That will affect the size. And then it depends on the scripts also. Is it paid to public key hash? Is it paid to script hash? Is it paid to witness public key hash? It depends. Is it multi-sig? It depends on that also. It depends on the outputs also, and many outputs you have also. You might want to send to like 3 people, so it depends on the output also. So the input, the output, your script complexity determines your transaction size, which affects your transaction fee. And your transaction fee is calculated, that's your size times fee rate. Then you have to look at the main pool also. Sometimes there might be congestion in the main pool. Maybe there are a lot of unconfirmed transactions, and then miners, they are humans. They'll mostly pick those with higher fees, which makes sense. So when thinking about your fee, it is better to use SegWit address. It reduces the transaction size instead of using legacy or multi-sig. So for fee optimization tips, use SegWit address, consolidate UTXOs during low fee period. Most of these things are dependent on how your application is to work. So consolidating it is saying you have like chunks of 0.001, 0.001, 0.001. If you are trying to create a BTC transaction and you are adding those things up, the size becomes larger. But let's say in the period where the fees are really low, you can just add them and then send them back to yourself. So 0.001 in multiple places, maybe it's going to give you like 0.98, send it back to yourself. And then anytime you have to make transactions, you can then, at least you have 0.98, you have 0.98, and then that's like your input right now. And then you can know how to construct your transaction, which makes it better for you, reduces the fee. Then you have to check the main pool congestion before sending. You can use, I think there's main pool explorer, main pool space, blockchain explorer. You can use them to check. That's depending, and you can, if you are running a full node, you can also check. Then batch transactions for multiple payments. So if 4 users are sending out BTC, you can actually, instead of creating different or multiple transactions for each of those transactions, you can make it one. So you have multiple outputs, right? Maybe with one input that you have, and just at least it reduces the fee and just makes it better. So for fee handling considerations, fee abstraction or control, that's depending on how you want your product to look like. Fee abstraction, are you saying it will be a fixed fee, they don't have to set the fee themselves, or you want them to have the control? It depends on you. Then try to show the fee impact in fiat to improve user experience. The fee structure explanation, let them know how it works. Oh, it's not a fixed fee, and this is the reason. Batch transactions, as I said earlier, use SegWit address to reduce transaction size. Support RBF. RBS is replaced by fee. It's a protocol that was introduced, I think, 2017. And then opt for Lightning for low fee, fast payments. So the Lightning Network is actually a layer 2 protocol, and it was designed to make transactions faster, cheaper, and scalable for everyday use. For on-chain, if there's a mempool congestion, sometimes your transactions it might take days, and you are just trying to buy something. You are just trying to send, you are trying to top up your card. You cannot wait 30 minutes, you cannot wait for days. and you don't want to spend, you are trying to maybe pay for something worth $5. You don't want to spend $2. But with Lightning, it solves your problem because it's basically done. It has, you open a channel and then it's kind of done off chain, and after the channel is closed, it is being synced anyway. And so that way you don't have to think about mempool congestion, you don't have to think about those things, and the fee is lesser. So you can try to support Lightning, you can enable Lightning for your products. Also, we have replaced by fee. Replaced by fee is an upgrade that was introduced in 2017. It just helps to ensure that when you create your Bitcoin transaction and you send it to the main pool, as at that point, maybe like few minutes before you sent it, there was no main pool congestion, or maybe after you sent it, there was main pool congestion. With RBF, you just have to enable RBF. That transaction should be RBF enabled. Something like, so at this part, you are connecting to the Bitcoin node, and then you are creating your input, your transaction ID, and then this particular sequence is what is being seen or being confirmed to know if RBF is enabled. RBF is replaced by fee. It just helps to bump up the fee, and then your output. Then you create your transaction, you sign it, and then you send it. So you've sent it, you can say that you already wait for like 10 minutes, and you really need to send this thing out. You can just, as I said, you don't specify the fee. Your output and input will determine the fee. So as you can see here, the output was 0.001. Just need to create a new output, 0.009. So that means you've increased the fee. So then you create and you send it. Once it gets to the main pool, it replaces the previous one. And then saying for you to replace it, you already have an idea of the fee. So that way it gets confirmed faster. So you can try to enable that. Even if the user will have control, you can just put a button to, do you want to enable replace by fee for this transaction? If they say yes, makes sense. So they can come back when they say that it's pending. I'm telling them there's mempool congestion, or maybe there's a sweet English you want to use so that you not confuse them. At least that way they are able to specify the amount, that's the output amount. It depends on how your application and products looks like. And if you are the one determining it too, you can do it yourself. Then wallet management. Bitcoin wallet is not just about holding the keys, and the private key and the public key is more than that. Actually, when it comes to end users, it's more about security, their experience, compliance, scalability, diversity. So building and managing Bitcoin wallet is dependent on the type of wallet you are building for your end users. Really, we have custodial and non-custodial wallets. Custodial wallets is you having control over the keys. That's you own, like the keys, they are with you. You have the control over the wallet. For non-custodial, the keys are with your users. So, and again, when it comes to recovery, there's nothing like you on the countries or currencies that you support. Depends on where you're operating from. And then for non-custodial, it's kind of lower. There are some things you can even do with local non-custodial, so it's kind of lower. And non-custodial improves, like, it's actually for privacy. So, and then so for custodial is suitable for remittances or new users, people that are just new to Bitcoin payments using Bitcoin. For non-custodial users that are Bitcoin savvy, they want to own it, they want to have control, they want that privacy. It's suitable for them. So we have HD wallet for wallet management. It depends on what you want to do. It depends on how your application is going to work. That's dependent on you. So for HD wallets basically just It enables privacy and security. It improves privacy and security, backup, that's for key recovery and many other good things. So with it, you're able to generate multiple addresses. So you don't need to use one address. Bitcoin is pseudonymous. It's not as if it's anonymous and it's pseudonymous in the sense that there's a blockchain. You can see all transactions. Yes, you don't know who owns this transaction, but you can see your transactions. But in the case where you're only using a Bitcoin address, and send a Bitcoin address to somebody, and then they are just trying to track you, and that's the only Bitcoin address you only use. They check it, they see that, oh, okay, this person received this, they sent this, they can track it. Nobody wants anybody to know how much they own. So with HD Wallet, you are able to generate multiple addresses. So you can generate addresses per transactions, and it just makes it make sense. And then instead of having different backup with it, once it frees, you can just use it to recover all your addresses and just makes life easier for you. If it is a custodial wallet, it makes life easier for you. If it is non-custodial, it makes it easier for your users. Then we have multi-sig. So depending on your application might support multi-sig. Say you are building for companies. Say you are building an inheritance application, or it depends on what you're building. It depends on what you're building. Or you are trying to do something like a non-custodial wallet, or let's use companies. Let's use companies. And then let's say it's like a 3 or 5. So 3 people in that company, they have 5 people have keys. They have different keys. At least if we have 3 people, they're able to sign the transaction, and then they're able to make payments, send out, or do anything they want to do. So when they create it, they sign with that. If it's a 3 or 5, they can sign with at least 3 keys, or 4 or 5, depending. But like the minimum threshold is 3 for a 3 or 5. For a 1 of 2, the minimum is 1. For a 2 of 10, the minimum is 2. It depends on how they want it. And the good thing about it is it helps to improve security also. How let's say your application or your product is something like that supports multi-sig. It just improves the security. How they always say people always say, is it bad news or bad publicity is good? Not good. They'll say any publicity or any news is still good news. At least people will know you. You don't want people to know you for bad things. You are not the one doing it. But in a case where, let's say it's just one person out of the C-level people that can sign it, and then they just pull out all the money. Obviously, when there's a news about it, they are not saying you did it. They are not saying your product did it or anything, but your product will be there. They will say the money was in so, and then this particular person used their keys, and then they removed everything. Your product is there. It is bad news, and you really don't want that. Maybe for some other things, though, maybe for influencers, maybe it works for them. Like any news is good news, or anyhow they say it. But for you, it doesn't work for you. People will turn away, because the next thing is when somebody is talking about, oh, use this product, and they're saying, it's not that product that. No, it does. It's not something that is good for you. And also, it prevents any single point of failure. God forbid something happens to that's just one person having the key, and something happens to the person, they are not able to recover. Or even you, let's say your wallet, is a custodial wallet, but your own BTC wallet for your organization, for your product is multi-sig, and it's just the CEO or the CTO that has just one key. If they die, you cannot recover. There's no, if something happens and you have to move your wallet or something, that's all. Your money is gone. People's money is gone. So you have to think about that. And sincerely, as I said, it depends on the product or the application. So you might not support multi-sig. You might, it depends, but you have to think about it. You have to think, will it make my application or my product easier for people to use? Easier, even if it is non-custodial, will it still make it easier? At least I won't have the issue of something happening to the person with the key, or somebody just removing all the money. So it just makes it easier for you and your users. So building for compliance. Compliance is very, very tricky, crazy. It's even funny because if you are building for global audience, you are trying to support US, Europe, Nigeria, Kenya, Ghana, different countries. At least for US, for Europe, most of them have this regulatory. For Nigeria, for most African countries, cryptocurrency generally is frowned upon. Like they are not saying it somewhere that if you use it to we are going to send you to jail, or if you're a Bitcoin product, they are not saying it, but it's frowned upon. There's a way they act, and then tomorrow they can just wake up and say, okay, they allowed somebody to do it, and the next minute it's very funny. So uh, things just keep changing. Maybe even your license, depending on where you're operating from and the countries you support, yeah, different things. So especially if you are doing on-ramp for fiat, you KYC and anti-money laundering is just there are some things you have to look into. As a developer, you might not be concerned about that. I don't know about compliance. But when you are building, you have to ensure that you are building to accommodate any eventuality. Anything can happen at any time. They can include something, they can remove something. They are building to accommodate that. So one of the things is just avoid add coding compliance logic. Don't say, this is how it's going to work, and then you just add code that one. No, you can implement a feature flag. Maybe for these features, well, there's no compliance for it. So you can allow some users use it. If this is the only feature you want to use, there's no problem. You can enable or disable it. It depends on the region or the user's country or the currency itself. And then for anti-money laundering, you have to ensure you maintain these audit trails, logs, check transaction history, compliance checks, just to ensure that you don't have any problem. You don't have any regulatory body coming to sanction you for anything. You do not want that. So you have to ensure that also. Transaction monitoring and alerts, you have to add it when building. And then if you want to support non-custodial flow, non-custodial flow basically makes life easier for you. Sincerely, it makes life easier for you. There's no regulatory body, there's nothing, because the user has the control. So nobody's telling you, you are collecting somebody's data. There's a way you have to keep the data and the likes. You don't have any issue, to be sincere. It just makes life easier for you. But as I said, it depends on the product. It depends on what you're trying to solve. So you cannot just say, you know what, anything I'm going to do non-custodial. No. But if it's something you can support, fine. And then just make sure your compliance implementation is like a pluggable module. You can maybe a microservice. You can just separate it from other things. So that way you're able to maintain it. You're able to add it without affecting your whole product. Now we are going to move to security and error handling. Bitcoin security is just it's something else, because when it comes to Bitcoin, any small mistake, millions is gone. So it's more than just encrypting, or I encrypted those values and I know nobody can decrypt it. Okay, no problem. Maybe they can't decrypt it, but it's way more than that. And it's about users' experience. Basically, you are building for users. People are using it, even if it's just one person. You are building for people to appreciate, to like, not to leave your product. So you have to consider users' experience, safety, and then handling. We have to trust that, okay, things went wrong. You are telling me, oh, this is what went wrong. You are not showing me bad requests. You are telling me, even if it's something as, we are resolving this issue right now, we'll get back to you. It's still something. Now you say, I'm seeing 400 bad requests. I'm seeing 542 error. What's 542? They don't know. So, and new crypto users, that's Bitcoin users in this case, they are vulnerable to UI confusion, to scams. They don't know that these are some things they don't need to do. These are some things they need to do. So they can lose their funds. And when they lose it, trust me, they are coming to come and bombard you with messages. You don't want anybody to go and drag you on Twitter. You really don't want it for your products or applications. And then we've seen security incidents. We've seen different things happen, maybe in one country, and it can just damage global trust. And then people might not have access to support errors. So you have to give them that support, maybe a customer support team, or maybe just a simple error message that is so clear that they just know, okay, I entered an invalid address. Let me go back. Let me check that address. Let me go back to the recipient. Simple things like that just makes it easier for them. So for Bitcoin wallets, for the security architecture, for key management, you can, well, I won't lie, I'm, I don't know, this first one, I'm not really into it, but you have to store your keys somewhere anyway. So you can use hardware security modules or any key management service that you know is really well protected. Then BIP39, that's mnemonic phrase that you can remember. That's for non-custodial. You are probably the non-custodial wallet person, or your users are. So you can introduce BIP39. It can be BIP39, and then they can use enforce mnemonics phrase. At least they will remember those words. They are the ones that wrote it, or they are the ones that imputed it, or they are the ones that picked it. That way they're able to remember. And please don't store your private keys in databases. Don't say, she is our database, nobody can hack it. We are always building. Our security is very tight. Your security is very tight, but hackers are working 24/7. You are good, but they are better. And then access control, you can try to reduce access control. You can introduce multiple factor authentication. Even if it is a non-custodial wallet, it can be something like, a custodial wallet can be something like after the user logs in and they enter the amount, they have to still do 2FA and then enter PIN. It just helps to reduce any scam or somebody taking a user's phone and they are trying to send money. At least you know you did these things. So for somebody to take the user's phone, or maybe they had access to their email somewhere or their password and they try to log in, maybe even if it is on their phone, you can send like a notification telling them, oh, somebody logged into your account though, and it is not the device we know. They know something is wrong. Before something happens, then they come to drag you. Then for your transaction, input validation, ensure that validate all the transaction inputs, the address, the amount, and different things. Withdrawal delays, if there's any withdrawal delay, notify users. If there's anything like you are unable to they are unable to not you are not the one confirming it. You are unable to send that BTC as at say under 10 minutes. Notify them, oh, something is wrong. We are so something is wrong, but you just know how to say to write the error message. And address verification, also address verification as you are trying to send BTC or funds to maybe a known all these blacklisted addresses. I don't think it's something you want, because when the news comes out, your product will be there. You do not want it for yourself. And then maybe when it comes to new addresses, let them just reconfirm it, which makes sense. Then real-time monitoring, what is happening? You can track logins. You can check, say they logged in with another device. You can send them a notification telling them you logged in with another device, or somebody is trying to tamper with your accounts. Please check. Maybe they change location. It just makes things better for you. It makes building easier for you. Like you've built it, but your security architecture, if you add those things, it just makes life easier for you. And it makes it easier for your users too. That way they can trust you and they keep using your products also. Then error handling, clear messaging, actionable steps. Oh, after this, please do this. Or please, something is wrong. Please contact support. Just clear specific introductions just makes things better. Then error logging for you to be able to debug too. We build things. Nobody has written any code thinking something will happen. No, but for most of us that are software engineers or developers, we know how codes can be very funny. It has been working for years, and then one day you don't even know why it is not working. But when you are logging the errors, you are able to debug, and you're able to like resolve that problem for your users also. So when it comes to security, there's this chain analysis you can support. You can write the algorithm yourself. I think they are like party providers too that do that. So chain analysis is you examining the blockchain transaction. It's just to prevent anti-money laundering. Let me put it that way. One of the things it does is to prevent anti-money laundering. So with chain analysis, you can action paths through multiple addresses. If you see that okay, they are sending to this address, they'll send back to this address, they'll send back. You already know that mm, this thing is looking like money laundering. And then when it casts, and then they are saying something, I don't want it to come back to me. I don't want my organization to be involved. You're able to cluster addresses likely owned by the same entity. You are able to identify exchange interactions. Any funny business, you're able to just identify it. So it helps with compliance and risk assessment. You're able to screen transactions for links to sanctioned entities. You're able to satisfy your anti-money laundering and KYC regulatory requirements. You're able to provide audit trails for your regulators. You're able to prevent fraud. If somebody, let's say, let me give a very good example. Let's say a user users just they meet different people. You are not in their day life activities. Then somebody is telling them, you know what, send 50,000 sats to me. And then they give them their address. You already, when they enter the address, and it is one of the blacklisted address, you don't allow it. That way you're able to tell your user, this address has been blacklisted though. They already know this person is trying to scam them. Or if it is a blacklisted address and somebody has access to their account and they're trying to send it to themselves, you don't enable it. Say they're able to go through all those 2FA and everything. At least you'll be able to detect fraud with your chain analysis. And then you're able to identify money laundering. You're able to flag wallets that interact with criminal infrastructure. Then for operational security, you're able to monitor your own wallet for unauthorized moves. You're able to detect if your platform is also part of a laundering network. You might not know, but at least eventually you know and you know what to do to it, which makes it good for you. So infrastructure, building a good Bitcoin system is something strenuous. It's not a one-way thing. It's not something that you just read in the book and then this is how they do it. I already know. No, it doesn't work that way. And the bad thing about it is poor infrastructure just means you are going to lose money. You have angry users. You have them coming to drag you. And nobody likes people dragging them. You don't want it. You don't like it. So you have to build your infrastructure in such a way that it is able to maintain or scale, just keep scaling itself. So your infrastructure management, it goes a long way to how well your applications will do. So there are many infrastructural gaps you are up against when it comes to Bitcoin node reliability. It's not just a plug and play solution. There might be memory spikes. Let's say you are running your own Bitcoin node. There might be memory spikes. It depends on the server or the machine you are using. Even if it is being deployed to a cloud provider, it depends on how it is being hosted. Then there might be disk failures, there might be network drops, your data might get corrupted where you have to resync and it might take like 8 to 12 hours. The database might get corrupted. Your own, not the main one. There might be storage issues. Like, fine, you are trying to do something, but Bitcoin is not waiting for you. It keeps growing. It keeps growing every minute, every hour. And blocks keeps getting added. It keeps getting mined. So there might be storage issues. That might be rapid growth. There might be performance lag, maybe connection issues, different things. And then for you, that means payment failure. It means downtime. It means wrong balances because that's something else. It means you have to monitor manually. Then for Lightning node management, say you are running Lightning nodes, there might be liquidity issue when it comes to channel, which means it's not going to work anyway. There might be peer issues. There might be connection instability. As I said, liquidity issues, fee optimization, continuous rebalancing. There might be network problem where you're not able to gossip. And then there might be root discovery fails. So there are different infrastructural gaps you are just up against. And for that one, your funds might be locked. If you remember, it's like a multi-sig thing. So your funds might be locked for like 1 to 14 days. Payment failures. That means you are not able to send your user funds. Constant work, that means you just keep balancing downtime risk, that's penalty transaction or user loss. So if I'm trying to use your product or application and every time there's always an issue, I'm going to move to the next one. It's as simple as that. And then there might be network or connectivity failures also. Maybe it might not just, this one is not you. It's probably your internet service provider. It might not even be, let's say you are not using a physical server or thing. It might even just be your cloud provider. There are some times that maybe on AWS, if you are not lucky at that point, let's say the region you deployed to or you hosted your nodes to, let's say there's something wrong with it. At least for that moment, till you get results, that's all. Everything will be done. And the consequence for you, as at that time, is you miss some block data. They will be added. And then when you want to resync, it's going to take hours. Then payment failure. For like lightning payments, it will just keep failing because it won't reach the peers. And then transaction delays. Your transaction will be stuck. Your user's transaction will be stuck. We are just delaying them. I need to buy food and I have to wait for days. I don't know. So when it comes to infrastructure, there are some things to consider. Multi-node architecture, try not to rely on a single Bitcoin node. You can try to run multiple nodes, maybe behind the load balancer, or maybe you are going to, just for geographic distribution, you can just deploy your nodes to multiple regions. You can use multiple cloud providers. Maybe you deploy some to AWS, you deploy another, maybe bare metal, or maybe if you still want to use those cloud providers, maybe GCP, maybe Microsoft. It depends. It's depending on you. So at least you know if one region goes down, even if it's just AWS, if you are deploying to different region, you know that if one goes down, at least the others will continue operating. That way you don't have any downtime, you don't have any stock transaction, and your business is still moving. And then automated monitoring and recovery, intelligent retry logic, bandwidth optimization, minimize your bandwidth usage in low connectivity environments. We've been talking about what to do, but there are some things you should not do. When it comes to security, especially when it comes to Bitcoin products, you have to know that it is security first. You have to think about security before building your future. And even after building your future, think of anything or everything that can go wrong and try to build against it. Then, in the case where, say, you have different people, don't do only the CEO as keys. Multi-sig everything, document everything to avoid stories that touch. Then customer funds are safe. No, it's not the one we are going to now put, we are going to buy BTC and then it's in our wallet on your platform and then you go and use it, you go and trade. If that one doesn't work out, you'll now be telling us stories. At least I'd not put it there to trade. Users not put money there to trade. They are not there to trade. They want to use it to solve a problem. They want to use it to do something. So it's not to trade. They know where to go when they want to trade, except it is a trading platform. So please ensure that you separate everything. If it is custody, it should be custody. If it is trading, it should be trading. Then you must never code any secrets when in code. Don't store any plain text keys. Don't do anything where somebody gets hold of your database or maybe your code base, they already know how they are going to siphon everything, please. Then ensure that you have monitoring and alerting. Set up real-time anomaly detection, logs, alerts, many things to do, just to ensure that before anything bad happens, you're able to see it and then just fix it. Then educate users, provide clear UX feedback, security education. Let them know this is the reason why you have to use 2FA. This is the reason why you should not give somebody your password. This is the reason why you should not do this. That way, it just reduces the stress and everything from you. And then for incident, things will happen. Bad things will happen. We always avoid bad things, but somehow they catch up. They just happen. It might not be extreme, but they happen. So try to create and test a security incident playbook. And also, please test. For Bitcoin, the main one we're using is the main net. There's testnet, there's red test, there's SIG. Ensure you are testing to ensure that you are not just building that and hoping that when it gets to production, it's going to work. No. incorporate unit testing, integration testing, infrastructural testing. Ensure you test those things before you put it out there for your users. And then I didn't add it, but for research, try to research. You are building a product, you are building using a technology, that's the Bitcoin technology. So it is not something that it keeps evolving. So you have to keep researching. You can try to check their code base. That's the Bitcoin core code base on GitHub. Check it, see how it works. You are building on top of technology. You should know how it works. If you're a developer, you can sign up for their Bitcoin dev mailing list. That way you get information about new upgrades and the likes, then even lighting. And you can also join their PR clubs. They discuss maybe a new protocol, a new BIP, that's Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. That's like a new feature that they're trying to add. You can do that also. And even if you're not a developer, just someone that is a developer, someone that is just trying to know about it or even build on it, you should know how it works. You can check Mastering Bitcoin. There's programming with Bitcoin. There are many Bitcoin educational things you can use, you can check. And then for your compliance too, you have to make research on which one you have to work on or do. So there are different security. What are the latest security? What are the latest to ensure security? Just things to make it easier and make you upgrade. So for conclusion, we are building for the real world. You are not just building for yourself. You're not just building for your family or your siblings or maybe your country. You are building for everybody. So Bitcoin is global. But Bitcoin products must be human. You are building for humans. You are building for people, living things. So even if your user is in Lagos, South Africa, Benin, they deserve security without complexity. They deserve low fee. Everybody wants something we don't want cheaper things, but at least it should be without compromise. They deserve access without privilege, and they want speed without trust. Thank you.
Awesome. Please put your hands together for Munirat. Let's see those react button popping up with balloons and all the confettis. Thank you so much, Munirat. We had like a great time. I'm sure there are definitely people who have questions they would like to ask. You can either type it in the comment section or somebody wants to charge you for consultation. They say, hello, ma, how much do you charge for consultation? Love the class. Excellent presentation, and she gave it a fantastic shot. Thank you so much, guys.
I'm sorry. So in addition to that, let's say you don't want to go to the stress of building your own infrastructure and just doing some things. You can actually use a third-party API like Bitnob, actually. There's a documentation. Dami, I don't know if you can just share it. Yeah. So you can go through the documentation and see something you want to use.
Awesome. Yes, we provide all of those documentation. Just a minute, I would share the link. I think I see Bolaño on the call. Bolaño, can help me share that link on the message chat. That would be great. Do we have anybody with a question? Any question from the audience to Munirat based on everything she has taught us today, everything she's spoken about today? I think one thing awesome. Jonathan has a question. Jonathan, I'm going to unmute you right now and you can ask your question.
Okay, first of all, I think it's only fair to sort of appreciate Munirat for a very beautiful, if I would even say excellent presentation. Thanks so much, and you really poured your heart into it. I'm a researcher, and that's also why I joined this, by the way, researching around blockchain and some of the use cases. So my question would be more around the regulatory hurdles. I think you sort of touched on it while you were presenting, but I don't know what your view on the regulatory environment around, the usage of cryptocurrency products like this. What you think for someone who is just looking at, okay, if I decide to go into some of these products, how much can be regulation that can come up or is already in existence that might just threaten my usage of these things? So really the regulatory standpoint and what you think around navigating that. Thank you once again.
Okay, so regulation, as I said, regulation is very tricky. for some countries or from regions, you already know, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. There are regulations. But for some, you don't know. It's not clear. They are not saying anything. You don't know if they accept it. You don't know if they don't. So for me, I would say you should build for eventualities. Ensure that what you are building is something that just think of like the craziest thing that can happen, and then just try to build for it so that when it comes up, you don't have to go down. You don't have to close up. And then just keep researching. If there's any regulation, if there's a new one, see, does it affect you? How does it affect you? Or even if it is not affecting you now, if they turn around and it's going to affect you, what can you do about it? So when you know that, you will know what to modify. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think also just to follow up on that question, I think a lot of the countries now are starting to see that quite a number of products are being built on this. Unlike 5 years ago, there's been like a lot more lenient, or government is now open to having conversations around crypto. So a typical example would be like Nigeria, right? The VAPS license, for example, in Nigeria that allows like fintech companies to be registered under SEC. A couple of them also have like IMTO licenses which allows you to like to be able to do
Oh,
cross-border payments. And when you look at that, moving moving Bitcoin from Nigeria to maybe a user in Ghana, or even using stablecoin for a typical example, really falls under that license. But yes, like she said, a lot of countries are not even saying anything about it. But the good thing about building on blockchain technology is the fact that the original intention was for it to be peer-to-peer, right, without the presence of a third party. And I think the biggest challenge will be around how do you even off ramp your your Bitcoin to like a naira or a fiat currency, for example, because as it stands right now, Bitcoin as a means of exchange, it's not still as popular as using fiat. Like if you go to the market today or any supermarket today, you not say you want to pay in 20,000 satoshis, right? You are still definitely going to pay 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira, but you can still keep your money in Bitcoin. So a typical example is you can move your money from Bitcoin to your local bank account if you use Bitnob, for example, right? You are still able to still keep your money in these currencies while you are also able to like do local payouts in the country. So what will be most important would be to build, technologies, infrastructures in each of these countries that allows users to be able to enjoy using the product, right? Not just keeping their money in sats and wallets, but again, if I want to change my money to a naira, a Kenyan shilling, for example, how easy is it for me to be able to do that? But yeah, great question. I don't know. Do we have like any other person with a question before we wrap up? Okay. Without the absence of further question, thank you so much for attending today's session. We are already okay. I see a hand. This is going to be last question. Yeah, Uma, I would unmute you right now, and you can ask your question.
All right. Thank you, Damilola and Munirat as well for that wonderful presentation. My question is around. So I was just looking at the slides you shared when you were speaking around how to, I believe it was like creating transactions on blockchain, and there was something interesting about like sizing. I can't remember because like I think you didn't really touch on it well, but it showed. I don't know if you can go to that particular slide. I think it was the seventh, sixth, fifth, sixth, seventh slide. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which one it is because I can't really remember. But I was just curious about how the choice of so I'm not very competent to like blockchain engineering, but how the choice of how you create the transaction or something of that sort. I was trying to make sense of it from the slide. Affects the size and then affects the cost. The fees, yes, exactly. That's what it was. It was the fees. So how that worked, I don't know if you can touch on that a bit more, Munira, and explain what that whole process is like. Thank you.
I'm unmuting. Okay, yeah, you can speak now.
Okay. Hi, Umar. So that transaction is an output of another transaction, but that's by the way. So let me just give a very vague explanation, just nothing technical. So it's just as if you're trying to send, say, 0.9 BTC. But now you have different UTXOs. UTXOs are unspent transaction outputs, and then you have 0.001. You have like you don't have 0.09. And now you don't want to spend one BTC. Maybe you don't even have one. So you're trying to combine everything together. Those transaction size is depending on the script that you're using. That's let me just say like your address, because that has to do with the address too. Now, so if it's paid to public key hash, that's like a legacy address. It carries different things. So it makes it the transaction size is larger. So now legacy address for like 10 outputs, 10 transaction inputs. Now that's the transaction size is already large. And then your outputs, you are sending to 10 addresses, including yourself. That is also large because it has to do with the scripts you are using. So by the time you do that, your transaction is large. And the fee is depending on the transaction size. So when it is being confirmed, when it is being mined to the block, if you're like the block gets full quickly depending on the size of your transaction. But I don't think I've ever heard it that one transaction is just like one block consists of just one transaction. But it's not as if there's no specified number of transactions that a block must have. It's depending, a block has their own size. So transaction size is depending on the block being mined, is depending on those transactions that are confirmed and mined into it. So if the transaction is very large, means like maybe it's going to take half of the block size. Then that means the miner will probably have to mine like two. That means you're confirmed two transactions. Say transaction and another transaction will take up the block. That means you just have to confirm two, right? So it reduces some of the things. And so if the fee, since the fee is part of their incentive, if the fee is substantial for them, they're able to mine it. They're able to mine it. So your fee is depending on your transaction size, which has to do with your script, the number of transaction inputs, number of transaction output you have. So it's always advised to use SegWit. SegWit removes the transaction, it moves the witness data. So that way the transaction size is smaller. I don't know if I answered your question. Umar. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
sorry, I was muted, but yeah, I think if I understand you clearly, so the fee is, like you said, affected by the number of transactions and also your script as well. For number of transactions, so you want to keep the
Number of transaction inputs and
inputs and
outputs.
outputs, right? But for
Yes.
inputs are basically, is that like the sender and then the output the receiver? If that does that map to like in simple terms?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
So
it's like you your input is you spending 500 naira. That 500 naira is your input. That's your UTXO. So your transaction input is not just that amount though. That's to do with different things. But just the fund aspect is like your 500 naira. You might want to you might want to pay something that is just 500 naira, and you give them just the normal 500 naira notes. Sometimes you might give them 1,000. Sometimes you might give them 100 naira. That's 500 nairas. Sometimes you might give them 50 naira. That's like, I think 10. So your 10, 50 naira and 500 naira is kind of different when you hold it. So your 10, 15 naira now, the transaction size will be larger. Your 500 naira, it will be smaller. I don't know if that makes sense to you. All right.
All right. Thank you so much, Munirat. This has been knowledge packed, super packed. Thank you for taking the time to walk through the developer session, and I'm sure quite a number of people have been able to learn from this. Our next session is going to be happening on the 16th of June. We are going to share communication around that. For those who are asking for the slide, don't worry, by Tuesday latest, you would get the slide in your email. We are going to send you an email and also the link to this YouTube video. So you'll be able to watch the video again if you want to and also have access to the slides. If you want to watch some of our previous videos, you can go online on our YouTube channel. We have all of the session recorded from February up until now, so you're able to catch up on some of the conversations we've had in the past. Also, if you're a developer and you're looking to build crypto infrastructure, Bitnob has all the amazing infrastructures for you. Please check out, the link has been dropped on the channel, on the chat session, so you're able to have access to all of the things that we are building, and we're even building more. Again, I will see you next time. Thank you so much for joining this session, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a good day, guys. Bye.